Hardship has a way of arriving uninvited, showing up in our lives when we least expect it, and often when we feel the least prepared. At first glance, it feels like destruction, something designed to break us down, something so heavy that it threatens to bury us beneath its weight. But if you look closer, you begin to see that hardship is not an enemy. It is a sculptor chiseling away at what no longer serves us, shaping us into the person we were always meant to become. Just like a block of marble holds the potential of a masterpiece, life's struggles chip away the excess, the doubt, the fear, the false layers we've carried, until only the truest version of ourselves remains. When life carves into us, it is rarely gentle. The blows of hardship are sharp, unexpected, and sometimes cruel. They take away comfort. They strip us of illusion. They expose our raw edges. But through those cuts, something new is revealed. Think of the strongest leaders, the most compassionate hearts, the most resilient spirits. They were not born in ease. They were shaped in difficulty. A tree that grows in calm weather may look beautiful, but it is the one that stands through storms that grows roots deep enough to last generations. Hardship teaches us things success never can. When everything is going well, we rarely stop to examine our strength, our faith, or our resilience. But when life presses us down, when the ground beneath us cracks, we are forced to dig deeper. We learn patience when answers don't come quickly. We learn humility when control is taken from us. We learn courage when fear is the only thing we can feel. Every trial leaves behind not just pain, but wisdom, if we are willing to see it. The process is never easy. Just as a sculptor cannot reveal a statue without striking the stone, life cannot reveal our strength without striking us with challenge. At times it feels unfair. At times it feels endless. Yet those moments are proof that we are being refined. Hardship removes what is unnecessary, polishing our character, shaping our identity, and preparing us for a version of life we cannot yet imagine. And within every hardship lies a choice. Some people let their struggles define them, allowing bitterness, anger, or despair to take root. Others, however, choose to let hardship shape them. They lean into the lessons, no matter how painful. They decide that if life is going to strike them, they will rise sharper, stronger, and more purposeful than before. That choice transforms suffering into growth and growth into strength. What hardship truly does is strip us back to the core, forcing us to see who we really are without titles, possessions, or appearances. It asks, when everything is taken from you, what remains? And the answer is often surprising. Beneath the layers of fear and doubt, there is resilience. Beneath the layers of insecurity, there is courage. Beneath the layers of pain, there is wisdom. The chiseling hurts, but it reveals a masterpiece that could not have been seen otherwise. When we look back on the hardships we've endured, we often realize they were not there to destroy us, but to prepare us. Each struggle carved something unnecessary away, making space for strength, depth, and purpose. In the moment, it feels like breaking, but in truth, it is becoming. Life is sculpting us with every challenge, creating a stronger, wiser, and truer version of ourselves than we ever thought possible. Faith over fear is not just a phrase we repeat when life feels heavy. It is a lifeline that steadies us when everything around us begins to fall apart. Fear comes naturally. It is the first reaction when storms hit, when uncertainty clouds the path, when the future becomes invisible. Fear grips the heart, whispering every possible outcome of loss, failure, and pain. But faith, on the other hand, is a choice. It is not the denial of fear, but the decision to believe in something greater than the storm itself. Faith says that even in the darkest night, dawn will come. It says that even when you cannot see the road, the journey still has a purpose. When the storms of life rage, fear tells us to stop moving, to retreat, or to give up. It paralyzes, making even the smallest step forward feel impossible. Faith, however, becomes the anchor that holds us steady against the winds of doubt. Anchors do not stop the storm. They stop the ship from drifting away. In the same way, faith does not remove pain or hardship, but it gives us stability, a point of strength when everything else feels uncertain. Faith is built in the unseen. Anyone can believe when the sun is shining and the path is clear. But true faith is forged in darkness, when the evidence points against hope, when fear is loud and logic insists that the situation is hopeless. It is in those moments that faith demands we look beyond what we can see and trust that the storm is not the end. It demands that we surrender control and accept that a greater purpose is unfolding, even when it makes no sense. The most powerful thing about faith is that it grows in proportion to the fear it faces. Small fears require small faith, but great fears demand greater faith. When you stand in the middle of uncertainty, choosing faith over fear transforms you. It gives you courage you did not know you had. It strengthens your resolve, reminding you that you were not made to collapse under pressure. Instead of focusing on the chaos, faith allows you to focus on the promise there is meaning hidden in the struggle. Fear shrinks possibilities, but faith expands them. Fear tells you that you will fail, that you cannot endure, that you are not enough. Faith whispers that you were created with resilience, that within you is strength greater than the storm, that what lies ahead is not just survival, but transformation. Every time fear tries to suffocate you, faith gives you breath. Every time fear pushes you to retreat, faith pulls you forward. Choosing faith does not mean you will never feel fear again. It means you decide that fear will not control your actions. You may still hear the whispers of doubt, but you refuse to obey them. You may still feel the weight of uncertainty, but you plant your feet in trust, refusing to be moved. This is the quiet courage that builds unshakable character, the ability to walk forward in darkness with nothing but belief as your guide. And when you come out of the storm, you realize that it was not the absence of fear that carried you through, but the presence of faith. The storm does not last forever, but the strength you gain from holding on to faith endures. Fear may knock at the door of your mind every day, but faith ensures it never takes control of your heart. It becomes the anchor that keeps you standing, the light that keeps you moving, and the force that turns every storm into a passage toward a greater purpose. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction, as if it means living under constant rules, limitations, and a lack of freedom. But the truth is that discipline is not a cage, it is the key that unlocks freedom. It is not about perfection or never stumbling. It is about building habits that allow you to rise again and again, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Strength is not the absence of failure. Strength is the decision to keep showing up through discipline even when failure feels louder than progress. Life will always bring setbacks. No one escapes falling short, losing momentum, or feeling crushed by disappointment. The difference between those who stay down and those who rise lies in discipline. A disciplined person has built a foundation so strong that a single fall cannot erase it. They may stumble, but their habits, their structure, their consistency pull them back on track. Just like a river carves its path through rock not by force but by persistence, discipline carves resilience into the human spirit through daily practice. Discipline creates freedom because it eliminates chaos. When you lack discipline, every setback feels like the end. Every challenge feels like proof that you cannot succeed. You are left reacting to life instead of shaping it. But with discipline, you gain control over what can be controlled: your choices, your actions, your effort. That control becomes freedom. The freedom to pursue goals without being enslaved to excuses. The freedom to endure storms without losing your path. The freedom to rise no matter how many times you fall. Habits are at the heart of discipline. They are the invisible threads weaving your future, shaping who you become day by day. Small actions repeated consistently build strength far greater than bursts of effort followed by collapse. Waking up early, practicing patience, training the body, training the mind. These habits do not seem extraordinary in the moment, but over time they create extraordinary freedom. A person disciplined in their habits can endure setbacks because their life is not defined by one event. It is anchored in a structure too strong to be broken easily. True discipline also requires humility. It is the acknowledgement that we will fall, that we are imperfect, that failure is part of the process. Discipline does not demand that you never stumble, it demands that you stand up again. It whispers in the quiet moments when no one is watching, urging you to keep going, to keep practicing, to keep showing up. And the more you obey discipline, the freer you become from the chains of regret, procrastination, and fear. There is also a deep connection between discipline and self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust in who you are. That trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes freedom. Instead of being controlled by impulses or temporary emotions, you are guided by principles. Instead of being swayed by every setback, you are anchored in your habits. You do not fear failure because you know you have the discipline to rise again. Discipline is strength in motion. It is resilience made visible. It is not about controlling every outcome, but about mastering yourself. And when you master yourself, you are no longer a prisoner to fear, doubt, or circumstance. That is why discipline creates freedom, because it ensures that no matter how many times you fall, you will always have the strength to rise. There is a hidden power in service, a quiet transformation that happens when we shift our focus from our own pain to the needs of others. At first, it may seem impossible to give when you are broken, to extend a hand when your own heart feels heavy. Yet the act of lifting someone else is a way of lifting us too. Service heals the self, not because it erases our wounds, but because it gives our wounds a purpose. When we help others rise, we discover that the strength we thought was gone has been inside us all along, waiting for a reason to awaken. Pain has a way of turning us inward. It isolates, convincing us that we are alone, that no one can understand, that healing is out of reach. But service disrupts that pattern. When we reach out to another, we step outside of our own suffering and connect to something bigger than ourselves. In that connection, healing begins. By seeing another person struggle, we realize that hardship is universal, and in supporting them, we find perspective for our own battles. The very act of helping creates a bridge where isolation once stood. There is also a truth in service that cannot be ignored. Giving restores what pain takes away. When hardship strips us of joy, purpose, or direction, serving others restores meaning. It reminds us that our story, no matter how broken, can still make a difference. A word of encouragement, a small act of kindness, a sacrifice of time. These gestures ripple outward, but they also echo inward, mending places in our heart that words alone cannot touch. Service is both a gift to the world and a medicine to the soul. Helping others rise also redefines strength. Often we believe we must be fully healed before we can help, but in reality, it is our scars that give us the wisdom to guide others. A person who has walked through fire can better lead someone still in the flames. Our own struggles equip us with empathy, patience, and understanding. In serving, we use the very experiences that once felt like burdens as tools for healing. What once weighed us down becomes a source of light for someone else. Service teaches us that healing is not found in isolation but in contribution. The human spirit is designed to connect, to give, to build. When we hoard our energy or lock ourselves in our pain, we shrink. But when we extend ourselves for others, we expand. Each act of service strengthens the soul, reminding us that we are not powerless. We may not be able to change everything, but we can make a difference for someone, and in doing so, we find that difference reflected back onto us. There is a freedom that comes from serving as well. Pain often ties us to the past, replaying regrets, losses, or failures. Service pulls us into the present, into action, into purpose. It transforms suffering into fuel, showing us that even our darkest moments can create light. By helping others rise, we refuse to let pain have the final word. Instead, we turn it into an offering, proof that what once tried to break us now becomes a source of strength, not just for ourselves, but for others too. In the end, service does not remove every scar or erase every hardship, but it gives us something more powerful, the sense of meaning that makes every scar worthwhile. When we help others rise, we rise with them, discovering a deeper healing that no amount of isolation could ever give. Resilience is often overlooked in a world that glorifies titles, wealth, and recognition. Achievements shine brightly for a time, but they fade, replaced by new successes or forgotten in the noise of constant comparison. Money may provide comfort, but it cannot shield us from loss, pain, or disappointment. Applause may feel intoxicating, but it is temporary as quickly as it arrives. What truly lasts, what truly makes us unshakable, is resilience, the quiet strength to endure, to adapt, and to grow no matter what life places in our path. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It is about facing it head on and refusing to be defined by it. Everyone encounters moments that test them, moments that threaten to shatter their confidence, their hope, or their dreams. But resilience transforms those moments into fuel. It allows us to bend without breaking, to stumble without staying down, to walk through storms without losing our way. It is not flashy, but it is powerful because it sustains us long after external validation fades. Titles can be taken away. A position of power can vanish with a single decision or a shift in circumstance. Money can be lost, sometimes overnight. Applause can turn to silence and sometimes even to criticism. But resilience cannot be stolen. It is built within, forged through struggle, strengthened by failure, and deepened by every experience that tried to break us. Unlike external rewards, resilience belongs only to you. It is permanent because it is grown in the soil of your own perseverance. What makes resilience so extraordinary is its ability to transform suffering into strength. Where others see an ending, a resilient spirit sees a beginning. Where others see defeat, resilience sees a lesson. It does not deny pain or pretend hardship does not exist. Rather, it embraces those realities and chooses to rise anyway. Resilience whispers, "This will not destroy me, this will refine me." That mindset turns obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into stepping stones, and failures into foundations for growth. Resilience is also the power that sustains relationships, dreams, and legacies. Success without resilience is fragile. A dream without resilience crumbles at the first sign of difficulty. A relationship without resilience falters when challenges appear. But with resilience, all of these can withstand storms. Resilience provides patience, forgiveness, endurance, and strength, the qualities that build not just temporary success, but lasting impact. The beauty of resilience is that it is available to everyone. It does not require wealth, education, or status. It does not rely on applause or approval. It is cultivated through daily choices, the choice to rise when you feel like staying down, the choice to hope when despair feels easier, the choice to grow when comfort whispers for you to stop. Every small act of perseverance builds resilience, just as drops of water carve canyons over time. And when you look back, you realize that resilience was the real power all along. The titles may have faded, the money may have been spent, the applause may have quieted, but the strength you gained by enduring remains. It is unshakable, untouchable, and deeply yours. Resilience becomes not just a survival tool, but a defining quality, a force that allows you to face the future with confidence, no matter how uncertain it may be. It is the one power that does not fade because it grows stronger every time life tests it.